Hey, Farmers Branch family. It's time for Bible study from the big comfy chair. So get in your comfy chair, get your hot liquid of preference, and turn in your Bibles to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. Now, I'm not through with my series from the days of the 70 weeks of years allotted to Daniel's people. But I'm going to take a little break in it here because I just feel like there's somebody that needs to hear this tonight. Ecclesiastes 12. And while we're at a little stopping place here, I'd like to have your suggestions on what you'd like to learn about. If there's anything in particular you'd like for me to cover, any part of the Bible that you'd like to hear me ramble on about, just let me know in the comments, and we will certainly address it. Now, next week we'll continue our series of the period of time, the prophetic period of time, a very important period of time in Judah's history. That is the 490 years that are the 77s of Daniel's prophecy. And we will continue that with the apocryphal book of Judith, Judith. It might be good if you read it ahead. You can find it in the Common English Bible translation that's on most of the Bible apps, on the Bible app that I recommended on the Facebook page. And it's fairly short. It's an easy read. It's an interesting story. And we'll start covering that next week. But tonight, Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years draw near, of which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened, and the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men are bent, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those who look through the windows are dimmed, and the doors on the street are shut. These are interesting metaphors, talking about the decline with age that we all have, are, or will experience. Interesting metaphors. Before the evil days come and the years will draw near, of which you will say, I have no pleasure in these years. Before the sun, the light, the moon, and the stars are darkened, and the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house tremble. Now, this is talking about the servants in the house that see the decline of their employers and know that they'll be looking for another job soon. And the strong men are bent, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those who look through the windows are dimmed, their eyes are dimmed. And the doors on the streets are shut. When the sound of the grinding is low, and one rises up at the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of song are brought low. They are also afraid of heights, what is high, and terrors are in the way. The almond tree blossoms, the grasshopper drags itself along, and desire fails, because man is going to his eternal home, and the mourners go about the streets. And what follows here is another very interesting metaphor. Before the silver cord is snapped and the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher is shattered at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern, and the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Here, all of these implements, the silver cord is bearing a golden bowl which holds water. The pitcher is to draw water, is to bring water back at the fountain, and the wheel that lowers the bucket into the cistern is broken. There is no longer a source for water as a metaphor for the substance of life, the life-giving substance. Speaking a metaphor of death. And the dust, that is us, returns to the earth as it was, and our spirit returns to God who gave it. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. All is vanity. Besides being wise, the preacher also taught the people knowledge, weighing and studying and arranging many proverbs with great care. The preacher sought to find words of delight, and uprightly he wrote words of truth. The words of the wise are like goads or sharp sticks that you poke your draft animal with, and like nails firmly fixed or very deeply embedded nails. Like nails firmly fixed are the collected sayings, and they're given by one shepherd. Certainly the instructions of this book are all originate with one shepherd, don't they? My son, beware of anything beyond these. Of making many books there is no end, and much study is weariness of the flesh. True words, huh? The end of the matter. This is the end of Ecclesiastes. It's not just this matter it's the end of. The preacher has been heard. The end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God. Keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment, with every secret thing revealed, whether good or evil. Now this is an often quoted proverb, and it's a proverb of warning to the young and of understanding for the old. And for those that are in between, it's a sober reminder that our end of days is coming. I heard one evangelist say, speaking of the day and the hour of the rapture, he says, I don't know. He says, I'm not certain at all that Jesus will come in my lifetime, but I am certain of my going. We all are certainly going to go. And it's best to remember our Creator now. It's best to live in a constant state of awareness of our mortality and the goodness of our God, and the fact that for the child of God, that's not a fearful thing, it's a promotion. You know, death is not God's second best for his children. And there are many of us, many of you, who are dealing with the death of loved ones and friends. And some of you are struggling with thoughts of your own mortality. You know, as a critical care physician in my former life, I've been at the bedside of many people who die. And often in very, very tragic circumstances. Sometimes the death is expected, sometimes it is not. I've attended the deaths of newborn infants, of children, of newly married people, of mothers who have just been delivered of a child, of older people, and everybody in between. I've seen all sorts of people die, and all people do. Some people die well, with friends and family around them. Other people die alone. But I can tell you this, there's a difference between watching a sinner die and watching a child of God pass from this life. It's a much different experience for the child of God. Even when it's painful, even when it's tragic, it just has a different flavor. I often heard my father tell a story of visiting a precious retired minister who had an agonizing course with pancreatic cancer and was dying. And my father walked in the room and saw him, and the man's face was just beaming. He was smiling. My dad, in his inimitable way, said, "What have you got to smile about?" And he replied, "Something good. Something good." He passed away that day. Paul says to be absent from this body is to be present with Christ. You know, we're not really told a lot about the place that we go when we die. But what we do know is that we will be with him. Now, I don't know who needed to hear this tonight, but death does come to us all. It's not a fearful thing. I kind of halfway kid that in my past I've testified to this in church a number of times that I missed at least 5 good chances to die, and by my family's count there were more. Those occasions when I closed my eyes, not expecting to open them again in this life. Last time it's been as recently as 12 years ago. But in my experience in that, I'll maintain that the first 4 or 5 times you die are the hardest, and after that it gets a little easier. Not everybody gets to practice as much as I have. Practice dying, that is. And not many people have witnessed as much death. I began at 17 years old as an emergency medical technician in the first out trauma car in Jackson, Mississippi. And I worked my way through college doing that, and I saw a lot of tragedy. And I saw a lot of triumph. And in medical school and then in private practice, like I said before, I had all sorts of people of every shape, size, and age. I guess that witnessing death has been a very large part of my life and my career, and trying to avoid it for myself and for others. But I have to admit that, you know, if doctors are supposed to keep people alive forever, I'm a miserable failure, especially as a critical care doctor. We try our best. We do everything we know. But 100% of my patients either died or are going to. And it has nothing to do with the care they received from me. Because death is our foe, but it's a defeated foe for the child of God. Jesus overcame death, hell, and the grave. I often in some of my classes, especially the one on the Revelation, I teach about the symbols associated with evil that seem to surround the planet Saturn. And some people are startled, some people are aghast, some people are just mad when I point out that the Christian cross is the most powerful symbol of evil. It is in the occult, when you reduce a symbol to its simplest form, in the case of the cross, an unfolded cube. The cube, a symbol of Saturn. The unfolded cube, its most powerful reductionist symbolism. So why is it so precious to Christians? It's a symbol of the highest evil associated with the gods of this world. In fact, Roman slaves the worst curse you could mutter to another slave is to go to the bad cross. Crux mala agite in Latin. So, why is it so precious to us? Because Jesus overcame it. He took the full brunt of the worst evil that this world had to throw at him, and he defeated it. Death is a defeated foe. You know, a lot of times Christians these days have replaced the hope of resurrection with the hope of rapture. And that is a mistake. I'm sorry, I accidentally turned on something here. And that's tragic. If you go to the cemeteries in England, going back to the 13th, 14th century, often the headstones there only have one word in Latin, which represents a phrase in English: resurgam, I will rise. We will rise. We will rise. We will be sown corruptible, and we will be raised incorruptible. And those who have part in that first resurrection, according to the revelation given to John, they will not taste the second death. Well, I see a note here that the image froze. I'm not sure what accounts for that, but I hope if you can replay this, that you can hear whatever part you missed. And here, I won't keep you very long tonight, but I think someone needed to hear this, and I don't know who. But I'm convinced that there was someone. Take this opportunity to tell everyone at Farmers Branch Church what an honor it's been to serve among you and be associated with you. We love each and every one of you. And with our physical absence, you'll still see my face here on Tuesday nights for a while, at least I hope. But until you guys say stop. But we really have enjoyed being there, and it's sad that we're moving. But we will see you again. One way or another, we will see you again. So until then, it's going to be a short class tonight, and it kind of supplanted my intended material. But I hope it met the need of someone out there. And I don't know who, but you do. And next week, again, find the Bible app or whatever you need to do. Find a New American Standard Version or some other Bible that has the apocryphal books in it, because we will be studying the book of Judith, Judith. It's a great story. It's a great Bible story. It's actually mentioned in the books of the Maccabees. She's a hero of the faith as of that time in Judah's history. And so it's a story that you need to hear and you need to know about and tell your children and grandchildren about. Good night, Farmers Branch.